Depending on what style of music you play, most of the chords that you use are going to be major chords. Now obviously what you saw me play there was a whole bunch of different kinds of chords, but even for those, if we start with major chords, if we know where a particular major chord is on our instrument, we can modify that to make any type of chord we want. Major, minor, augmented, diminished, suspended chords, everything that we can think of, we can make by just changing some of the notes of a major chord. So for that reason, major chords make a great place to start when you're working on learning more about chords on your instrument. So let's get the real basic stuff out of the way first. What is a chord? A chord is just a collection of notes, specifically the root, third, and fifth notes in any particular scale. So if you use the root, third, and fifth of a minor scale, you get a minor chord. If you use the root, third, and fifth of a major scale, you get a major chord. So what we're going to be doing today is taking a few different major scales and showing you how you can find any major chord you want to on your instrument. Now there are a lot of different ways of finding major chords, but the one that we're going to look at today is by far, in my opinion, the easiest way to do it. And it takes the least amount of skill or knowledge to do. What we're going to do is we're going to take just a basic major scale and just take the first 5 notes out of that scale, and that'll give us the root, the third, and the fifth that we need for our major chord. So the first way we can look at to do this is just on paper, or you can do this in your head, but we're just going to use the alphabet for this. So if we take, let's say, a C scale, and we take just the first 5 notes of that, we're going to need the root, we'll skip the second, we'll take the third, we'll skip the fourth, and then we'll take the fifth. So the root, third, and fifth. We're just going to use the first 5 notes of any given scale. We'll use the C scale in this example, and we're going to go C, D, E, F, G. C, we'll skip the D because we don't need it. E, we'll skip the F because we don't need it, and then G. Root, third, and fifth. C, D, E, F, G, C, E, and G. Those are the root, third, and fifth of our C major chord. The key of C is the easiest one to start with because it doesn't have any sharps or flats in it. It's just the alphabet. So what happens if we go to a scale that does have some flats or sharps in it? Well, let's take the key of D, for example. So the names of the notes in a D scale are going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. So right in those first 5 notes, we do have an F sharp in here, but it doesn't change anything. We just need the first 5 notes, whatever they are. D, E, F sharp, G, A. 1, 3, and 5. D, E, F sharp, so the F sharp is our third, G, and A. But let's take a look at how to find some of these on an instrument. We'll start with guitar. So the way this is going to work on here is we just play a regular C scale. Let's go back to that one. And we're just going to take the first 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And out of that, we only need the first, the third, and the fifth. Our root, C, we'll skip the D. Our third, E, we'll skip the fourth. And then our fifth, G. C, E, and G. Now let's look at that D scale that we did. D, E, F sharp, G, A. So if we just take the root, D, the third, F sharp, and the fifth, A, D, E, F sharp, G, A, D, F sharp, and A, those are the root, third, and fifth of our D major chord. So when you see guitar players or piano players or any other musicians that use chords, and they're strumming or playing these chord shapes, what they're playing is just a collection of notes. And that particular chord shape that they play is just going to be made of that root, third, and fifth. If they're doing an extended chord, like a 7th chord or 9th chord or something, then they may be using other notes as well. But for just a regular old major chord, the order doesn't matter. When I play just this G chord, I'm playing some combination of G, B, and D, the root, third, and fifth of a G chord. When I play this D chord, I'm playing some combination of D, F sharp, and A, the root, third, and fifth of a D chord, or a D scale. I had mentioned earlier that if we can find any particular major chord, that we can actually alter this major chord to make any other type of chord that we want. I have another video coming out about that soon, so if you haven't, go down and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Now let's dive back in. Let's talk about finding these scales by ear. So it works great to say this is a C scale, and then to take the root, third, and fifth from that. But what if it's a scale that you don't know? What if you're trying to find an E-flat major chord and you haven't really practiced an E-flat major scale? You don't actually have to practice the scale first to be able to find these, because all major scales basically sound the same. they sound like a major scale. You know, it doesn't really matter what key we're in, it's still going to have that major scale feel to it. So if I play a C scale, sounds like a scale, right? If I play an F sharp scale, still sounds like a scale, right? If I play an E scale, doesn't matter what key it is, if I play any given scale, it sounds like a scale. So we can use this to our advantage, and we can actually just pick out a little bit of the scale by ear. Now this sounds like a bit of a cheat, and it kind of is, but that's okay. If we're just looking for one particular chord and we want to find it really quick, we can just actually pick out the notes by ear. So just grab your instrument and let's try finding, let's say a D flat scale. I'm just pulling one out of the air here. So a D flat scale. So start on a D flat note. And what we're going to do is just walk through and just try to find the notes that make it sound like a scale. So we're going to start on D flat. No, that's not it. Okay, so we can go to that one. That doesn't quite sound like it. There we go, that's starting to sound like a scale. No, that one wasn't right either. And we can kind of just pick out the notes until we get something that sounds like a scale. And that's all we need. We just need the first 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Root, second, third, fourth, fifth. Once you have that, we've got enough information to find our major chord there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, root, third, and fifth. So we just take the root, third, and fifth out of those first 5 notes, and we now have the notes of a D flat major chord. And we can play those together. So we can come back and we can actually practice the scale later on. If we just need a D flat chord for this one song that we're working on right now, we can use that trick. And we can find some kind of D flat major chord. So this process makes it pretty easy to find basically any major chord that we need to, but we can actually make it easier than that. On a lot of instruments, a major chord will have a particular shape to it, and that shape may change depending on where on the instrument you are, but a lot of instruments have a particular shape that we can use and we can move around to different places, and while the notes may change, the shape that our fingers play that chord in actually will stay the same. And guitar is a perfect example of this. So this D flat major chord that we just talked about, if I take this and I just keep my fingers in the same relative positions and slide it somewhere else on the neck, we still have a major chord. We just have to find whatever the root note of that major chord is to identify it. In this particular case, it's an F. But it's the same particular fingering. All I'm doing is just moving this chord around. We can even move it to a different string. If I could take all of these fingers and just go up a string, we still have a major chord. In this particular case, it's a C chord, but I can move it somewhere else. So I'm starting on a B flat now, so that's a B flat major chord. And a lot of instruments will have this cool feature that allow us to kind of move things around and find whatever chord we need to. The piano is another great example of this. We don't have strings or frets that we can slide up or down, but we do have common chord shapes that are shared between multiple keys. For instance, a C chord is just C, E, and G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, root, third, and fifth. The same thing that we were talking about on guitar. So if we take this chord, there are actually several other major chords that share this shape. That's a C. We can take the same frame and move it over here, and we have an F. We can move it up again, and we have a G. So we have 3 different major chords that we can get just by using that particular shape. And there are other shapes that do the same thing. For instance, this is what a D chord looks like on piano. D, F sharp, and A. D, E, F sharp, G, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We just take the root, third, and fifth, and we have a D chord. And now we can move this shape to a couple of different places. So this is a D. We can now move that up to an E, and it has exactly the same shape to it. We can also move this up to an A, C sharp, and E. So all 3 of those share a common shape. So get used to looking for these shapes on your particular instrument. It can save you a lot of time. So this makes it really easy to find a major chord, but we don't want to have to find it every time. Eventually we want to learn these things so that we'll just know what these chords are the next time we need them. So rather than just drilling them into your head, as you're going through this process of finding these notes, just do a quick little exercise. So for this D flat chord that we found, we have D flat, F, and A flat. So just practice saying root, third, fifth, D flat, F, A flat, and then go to another chord. So we'll go to B flat. So we have B flat, D, and F. Root, third, and fifth, B flat, D, and F. And then go to another chord. So we go back to this F chord. We have F, A, and C. Root, third, and fifth, F, A, and C. And just practice saying root, third, and fifth, F, A, and C. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions about this, be sure and drop a comment down below. If you like this video, hit subscribe to stay tuned for more videos coming out soon. Practice hard, and we'll see you in the next one.